Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Thank you for tuning in from all over the planet. Happy Sunday Fun Day, everyone. Welcome back to our weekly Sunday live stream where we get to hang out with you, read your comments in the live chat if you're tuning in real time at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If this is your first time here, welcome. Jeremy usually likes to start the live off with a song. Take it away, Jeremy.
I think we should start with bad news tonight.
Bad news? Like in the song?
We here at What the Hales wish death on no one, and yet at the same time find immense hope in the afterlife, knowing where we're going to go and who we're going to be worshiping. And I can't say that's true about everybody, especially when they come out and they tell everyone that they have stage 4 melanoma skin cancer. Now, I just did a little research on Alexa, and she told me that the survival rate up to 5 years is, George, this isn't good. 10 to 15%. You know what that means?
What does that mean?
Lynette is never even going to make it to federal court.
Well, hold on a second. That's if she's being truthful about having such a diagnosis.
Whoa. I think she will make it, because that's the only family in the planet that has all died and come back to life. The grandson doing it 3 times in one night. Woo!
Her mama did it.
Still on.
She did it at 23. Her mama did it. I mean, what are the chances? The chances of her lying to the planet because she is a proven liar is greater than 15 to 20%.
Well, I moved into a town with no one around, all to get away from the snow. I put in a 2-inch line. Everything was fine till they tried to steal all my dough. Now, Mary was in town hall. She couldn't do math at all. Just kept calling the law. Sending emails to Worm, hoping he'd confirm no one would know about her flaws. Lynette and John running their con, trying to get any money they can. Everything around them dies. Then she fake cries. I swear I was crying. If I remember it correctly, I was crying. Oh, wait. Didn't she post she can't physically cry? I just did some research with Alexa, and people who can't physically cry, well, they're liars. Well, they'll end up by a river in a van. There were signs all over town. Now they're taken down. Everybody knows who done it. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. They're living in a shed with no permit. A Russ was texting down. He was telling him it's on. Let's give the world a show. We always wanted fame, and now they know our name. In the meetings, always vote no. They're all making threats. Fans are taking bets. Who's going to be the second in jail? Will be Mary, Russ, or Don? Lynette or... Oh boy, we could go so many directions here. Or any of those other peons. Well, we just know it won't be what the Hales. Just know it won't be what the Hales. Just know it won't be what the Hales. We moved into a town. No one around. Ought to get away from the snow. Put in a 2-inch line. Everything was fine until they tried to steal all my dough.
Wizzy Wheels, thank you. All your dough, all your fan base, their donations, their turtles, their wives, their kids.
Too soon, George. Too soon with the turtle talk. Too soon. I'm still can't handle it right now. Can't handle it. All right. We've got some amazing stuff to talk about tonight. There's more bad news. Do you want to hear more bad news before we get to the mail?
Hit me.
Well, you know, like I had that spot on my nose that I had surgically removed.
Yes.
And I got the results back, whether it's cancer or not.
And
Bad news for Lynette. It's not cancer. I'm not going to die. I am not going to die.
well, praise Jesus.
So bad news for Lynette. Bad news for Lynette. There is some more bad news, and we're going to dig into it here very soon. But first, we're going to get into fan mail. You know what? Forget the mail song. Just do it.
Okay.
Just do it.
All right.
I ain't scared. Just do it.
This big old box. I got this big old box, and it looks like it's from Illinois.
Thanks, Tom Shannon. Appreciate the $10 super chat.
Illinois. What is this?
I don't know. I didn't send it.
What is this?
Looks like some Coke Zero Sugar Oreo.
Oreo?
Is that Oreo Coke?
It's Oreo Coca-Cola, but I didn't see a note in the box.
Wow.
I'm afraid to try it. I love Oreos and I love Coca-Cola, but I don't know what the two together would taste like. Whoever sent this, thank you.
Time to find out. And then Tom Shannon did send us a $10 super chat. We appreciate all you guys' support. We appreciate the super chats and super stickers, and all of that will be used in the legal funds, or will be used for Christmas in the Creek, or will be used probably just that right now. Those are the two biggies. But thank you so much, Tom. I've got a letter here from Tyler Melton from Three Rivers. And let's see what it is. First class mail. Here we go. Jessica just gifted some members. Some membership. Dear Mr. Hales, my name is Tyler Melton, and I was in bed for 6 weeks after my ankle, healing my ankle from City Petting Zoo. I was cleaning Bob's pen. Bob is a 33-year-old Cyclada tortoise. Tyler, have you not learned from watching What the Hales? All right, it goes from July 23rd, 2024 to September 9th, 2024. I was out of it. I tore 2 ligaments. So for that time, I was seeing lots of YouTube, and I was seeing What the Hales, and I have a YouTube channel as well. And on September 10th, I finally went back to work. Funny thing, this happens 2 days before my birthday. Tyler Melton, as you can see the name right there. Tyler, I'm gonna challenge you that give it a little time. Give it a little time before you go back to the tortoises. Tortoises. Thank you, Darren, for the $2 super sticker. Thank you so much.
You. Michelle sent a $20 super chat. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. So to BC Eagle Deb sent $5. Thank you so much. We appreciate all your prayers. To be praying also for BC Eagle Deb's nephew.
Yes.
You got more mail, or was that it?
Oh, yes, I got more. I've got this package, and it came from South Dakota. There is a note. And it says, this is Rudolph in the blizzard.
Oh, nice.
It says, hi, Jeremy and George. I'm including $8 for batteries. For the baby otters. Their tummies light up and they make soft breathing noises. It's for Christmas in the Creek.
I love it already.
There's one otter.
Oh my goodness.
And
check that out.
Aww.
Check that out.
She goes on to say, I know this is a Christmas card, but why not send it early? I bought the otters at Walmart. I really enjoy your YouTube channel. I'm 72 years young and hope to be put in your granny group. What's our granny group?
It's all of our adopted grannies and our aunties and our grandpas. Wesley, thank you so much for the $4.99. Listen, family isn't always blood. Right. As many of you know, you've got some horrific family members. And so we'll take any grandma, any grandpa. Come on in. We don't mind at all.
We'll take you as our grandma, Jill. And then she says, blessing and love. Merry Christmas from Jill. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, Jill. I got a letter here from Jackie Bailey from South Carolina. We're going to get into the news here in just a moment. Oh, whoa! in just a moment. But karma.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness, Jackie. Karma just got me. Jackie, apparently, oh my goodness. Apparently taped $50 to definitely taped $50 to a letter. There we go. All right. I'm almost I got to do some surgery here. There we go. Got it. Got it. Good. All right. Hi, Jeremy and George. I've watched your YouTube video since 2017. Today I celebrated my 86th birthday, and I'm glad Otter Creek saga is partially over. So are we. Good guys usually come out that well. That being said, you're the good guys, and I'm really glad your restrictions are over. So are we. And I have enclosed this token of my appreciation for the pleasure of having, or should I say, being able to watch your videos. I know you still have a long road ahead with federal government suits. I wish you well in those, and I hope it goes well in the future. Love and God bless, Jackie from Charleston, South Carolina. Thank you so much, Jackie.
All right, I got one more letter. This was actually hand delivered to me by Travis, and I did tell him this week that I was going to save this special letter for tonight to read on air tonight. It says Jeremy George, and it says okay for YouTube.
Adam, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's from Douglas DeForest, who says, Jeremy and George, thank you for the Second Amendment coin a few weeks ago. He must have been one of our winners, our trivia winners. I enjoy it. I also enjoy watching you and your group on their adventures. You inspired me to start handing out toys at the Wheeler Historical Society Christmas party to all the kids. That's so cool.
That's cool.
That's so cool, Douglas. We need more of you two in Tube Town. Enclosed with this note are 3 bicentennial coins for both you and Flippin from my own town of Wheeler, New York. Let's check out these coins, shall we? There's the front of the coin.
That's cool.
And there's the back of the coin. These things have some weight to them. And one for me, one for you, and one for Deanna. Says, I also gave Travis copies of train schedules from the 1920s for Otter Creek and the line it was on. How cool is that?
That's
Keep up
cool.
the good work and God bless. Doug, P.S. Baby, baby, baby. LOL.
Tag baby, baby, baby. Hashtag baby, 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 baby. Isn't that funny that somebody who has already lost a suit for defamation, literally put their home in their mom's name because they were being sued for defamation, as if a court isn't going to readjust that and understand what's being happening in the first place. All right, this is from John. Hashtag baby, baby, baby. This is from John in California. Check this out. It's the Pizza Noids.
Oh.
They're keychains. No way. Yes way. Yahweh. Yep. Very cool. That's 80s history right there. No. But it's from John, and I think it's amazing.
That is awesome.
Anything else for you?
No, that's a wrap for me. I didn't go to the post. I forgot to check the post office Friday.
Liz, Janet, Brian, thank you so much for your super chats. Appreciate them. Here's this giant box of, what's that say?
Hard caramels, butter rum.
Butter rum. Okay, Jeremy, I know how much you love the butter rum. I hope you enjoyed this. It's up to you whether you share or not. From Elaine Williams. Thank you so much, Elaine. Thank you so much. Well, we do have some.
Are you going to share
the bad news?
Are you going to share those cannies?
I'll share bad news with you.
Okay.
You ready for more bad news?
Hit me. Just hit me with the bad news now.
All right. Well, here's some bad news. There is $64,485 in unused money, $15 that we've given to each person. That's 4,299 people that have not used their $15 on Whatnot, and they've got a chance to do it tonight. Remember, that expires after 30 days, but that's not the bad news. So the last time when I surprised everybody and I was in Otter Creek, George, myself, Deanna, we were all on a special mission. Philip, thank you as well for the $2. And we were looking at we've looked at one piece of property last year, but we were looking at another piece of property and asking God for clear direction on where to go and what to do. And that piece of property was purchased 2 days ago and not by us. And so it's bad that we did have plans to escape the insanity of Otter Creek, but it's good that God is in control, even when things feel uncontrollable, which I think is probably how the way Patty feels right now. Which, Patty, I just brought you into the stream, and we should be able to hear you now. Do you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Patty.
So,
Hi, George.
So, Patty, you and I, before we even get started on why we're communicating tonight, but you and I have never, ever have been in contact. We have never spoken, correct? Except for right now.
This is the first time I'm ever speaking to you.
Okay. Patty, I don't even know what you look like, and nor do I need to know what you look like.
Agreed.
George, do you want to set the stage why Patty is even on here tonight? What's the bad news?
Well, recently, if you guys have been following the Levy County docket, there were 2 charges on our unhinged neighbor, John Crook, one for brandishing a firearm, brandishing a deadly weapon. Or no, wait, it was deadly assault with a aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Sorry,
assault with a deadly weapon.
And then there was another charge. And so Patty was one of 3 victims the day that Crook got the charge, pulled out his firearm for no good reason. So even after Crook lied over and over and over again to Levy County enforcement, telling them no, he didn't have a gun and no, he didn't do anything. And then even though Lynette admitted that they hid the firearm and threw Crook under the bus, the state's attorney, Levy County, did their job and their part with the investigation, and then the ball fell in the court of the state's attorney for the 8th district in Florida, which includes Levy County.
This state attorney is Daniel or Dan Owens, which is the exact same state attorney that told the Levy County sheriff to not enforce our civil protection orders, breaking state law and breaking federal law. That's Levy County's state attorney.
Yeah, so, it makes you question, like, why is he in that position if he's going to be biased like the judge?
So, Patty, take us back to that day. I was in Ohio. What happened that day, per what you saw, per what you heard? What did you experience that day which made you a victim of a crime?
So I had been down in Florida for a few days. I had booked a month at an RV park that's not but about maybe 40 minutes or so from where Otter Creek is. I had never heard of Otter Creek before that day. I'd never heard of What the Hills before that day. Tube Town, What You Do in Willis, Lynette, John. Never heard, God as my witness, hand on the Bible, of any of you, of any of this. And I had, at the time, my friend was Wes, and I hate to say that's no longer a friend of mine because I was, hurt by him as well. But he had messaged me and had said he wished he could do a vacation with his daughter. So I said, hey, I've got a 2-bedroom camper. You and your daughter are welcome to come down and hang out. On the morning of the 3rd, it was a warm day. I said, hey, why don't we take your daughter down to Ocala and we go to the splash park and go around and, just see the sights and things. And he was the one that said, actually, if you don't mind, she and I follow these YouTubers called What the Hales and Tubetown. And we aren't really far from there, and she'd really like to see Tubetown. I said, oh, okay, that's fine.
Wait, pause right there. Did they say baby after saying Tubetown? Did they say Tubetown, baby?
Actually, yes, Wes did say that. Now that you mention it. He said that a lot that day.
Oh my goodness. I was joking, but keep going.
Okay. So he said that's what we would like to do if you don't mind. So of course I'm like, after, lunch or, this afternoon or so, we'll just head out and go over there. You take the keys because I don't know where it's at and I don't really want to drive or anything. So I gave him the keys to my SUV, and he and I and his daughter headed over to Otter Creek. When we were on our way, very vaguely did he tell me that there was an issue between What the Hales and their neighbor, and nothing to the extent of what I have obviously found out now. But it was just like, there's been a dispute. They do this, they talk about this stuff, and there's been some trouble, but we just want to go see Tubetown. And I thought nothing of it. Never would have dreamed that I would have gotten myself into what I got myself into. We pulled up to where Tubetown is. It would have had him on the driver's side closest to the red mailbox. And it was raining at the time. So he pulled up really close, and him and his daughter got out and they grabbed some stuff out of there and came back to the car and wanted to sign that guest book. So did all of that, and the rain started to let up enough to where she wanted to get back out and see some of the games and things that were there and take some pictures. Well, we're doing that, and then she ran on across the street where there was a box that said something about a gift box.
So pause right there, Patty. For those who are not aware, Lynette and Crook have a plastic box out in front of their property that says blessings box. Take what you need. But there's also all kinds of signs posted, no trespassing, and they've posted all over the internet. Anybody comes on our property. Lynette has posted. We have the screenshots. She will pop a cap and you can fill in the blank if anybody comes on her property. So you've got them telling the world, the planet, stay away from Otter Creek, stay away, but then inviting them all in at the same time. And that's what Patty's referring to, is this blessing box, which frankly is probably more of a curse specifically in this situation. Go ahead, Patty.
Okay, so Jacelyn had went up to that box and Wes followed her, and they just opened it up and there was nothing there. It just looked like an old box. So they just opened it up, and then they started walking back toward the car, and I'd let my little dog out, stepped out for a minute since there was no rain, and I looked around just briefly. I still yet didn't understand a lot about Tubetown, but it looked like a neat little fun, yard setup and stuff. And I understood why she wanted to see it and why he wanted to see it. So we all get back into the car and we drive on down the road to where there's like this tower that we can turn around, like a cell phone tower, so that we can turn around there and come back up, so that now the tube town is on my side of the car and I can see a little more. And if the little girl wants to have some more pictures as we're leaving, she can. And then we were driving kind of slow, of course, and we got about halfway through that property and we heard somebody scream loudly. And it startled us. So Wes stopped the car and he rolled down his window just a little bit at first. And he's like, huh? You know, trying to make sure we didn't know exactly where it came from. And then when the man spoke again, you could hear him loudly say, do whatever you want. And that's when we noticed that, now I know his name is John, but that's when we noticed John was standing like by this tree and camper on that property across from Tube Town. And Wes says, listen, we're just tourists from Illinois. I don't know what you're talking about. And he rolled down his window a little more and was trying to just use his hand as like, hey, listen, we're just tourists. And the man said, do whatever you want. You're going to lose anyway. Wes looked at me. I had no idea what that meant. He tried to say again to the man, hey, please, we're just tourists. And this sounds like it took a long time, but it was obviously just a short little span of time. But in that same time that he was trying to explain that we were just tourists, we're going on through, that man crouched down and pulled out a weapon and pointed it directly at us. And in that moment, we were terrified and frozen.
Absolutely. As would anybody be.
And Jason, sorry, I didn't even want to say her name, but the little one, she started crying. I'm like, Wes, please go. Now I understand why he didn't originally, but he's like frozen too. He's like trying to talk him down. And he said, I didn't want to move because what if he did start shooting? And then it just, was just erratic shooting. So a few more seconds and then he did pull off. We got to the end of the road and he called 911. And explained to the officer what had just happened, that we had just had a weapon pulled on us. And that person said to stay there and they'd be right there. And I said, absolutely not. So we ended up going down to the post office on the edge of the main road and waiting for an officer. And then while we were waiting, that was when he was messaging an email to, I believe, you. And then I remember after that, George actually had made it. And I did not know who George was. I didn't know what she looked like, nothing. But she came there and got there before the police even got there. It took them forever. It was like almost the most wild thing to me that it took so long for the cops to even get there.
They all hate going to Otter Creek. And
well,
so
I remember I was in the middle of counseling. I was doing virtual counseling with my counselor because he's out of Ohio. And I remember Jeremy messaging me saying, we just got this important email. You need to go see if everything's okay. And when I got there, actually, Levy County was already there by the time I got there. And
I was so distraught.
Yeah, a lot happened really quick. And I remember seeing a white SUV and I walk up to the guy and I'm like, are you Wes? And he recognized me. And I remember you saying, please don't film me or the child. And I tried my best not to film. And I'm pretty sure I didn't get you guys.
No, you did not. You respected that fully. And I was very appreciative of that.
And so I remember speaking to I think he was a lieutenant. I think his title is lieutenant. I remember talking to him and the other deputy that was with him. And I remember him asking about if we had cameras Like, I don't even remember everything that was discussed. I'd have to go back and watch the video, but everything happened so quickly that it's hard to remember everything for detail. But go ahead, Patty, finish with your story.
So the biggest thing that I remember from that point is that you were talking to Wes, and the little one and I were in the car. Car's parked, stopped. I'm still trying to overcome what just happened, and then Deanna come to the window, and I didn't know, who she was, but she introduced herself. And honestly, as I look back at it now, she was like the mother therapist there that helped to keep me calm.
That's
And
Deanna. And
yes,
she'll smack me upside my head if I need it too, but
I respect that. But she was very calming and very just really trying to keep the little one and I feeling, okay, while Wes was taking care of things with the police and speaking with you. But then Officer or Sergeant Kinnick, I think his name was.
Kinnick, yeah.
Kinnick. That was the sergeant that was there. And he came to my window and he immediately started asking me for my information. And I told him I was way too frightened to give that. I said, you don't need my information. Let Wes give you all the details. And I did say, yes, this just happened, but I did not want to release my information. I was absolutely terrified. And he started getting angry about it. And he walked away at first, and then he came back again and was just, you've got to give me your information, and there's nothing I can do if you don't. And I'm like, listen, you can take his information and I'll tell you the story, but I'm very scared and I'm not giving you my information, and I have no reason to. Well, this makes him upset because he goes to the back of my SUV and starts calling out my plate. And I said, out my window, I'm saying, stop doing that. You have no reason to run my plate. And the other officer was Officer Trent. And he said, ma'am, I'm sorry. I said, no, he doesn't have any right to do that. I'm not pulled over. He has no reason to do that. And he says, well, ma'am, I'm really sorry, but that's just our policy. And before you could say any more, I said, stop it. Your policy does not trump the law. And you don't suspect me of a crime. You don't expect me of doing anything wrong. You have no reason to identify me. And I'm terrified. I said, that's going to go over your CB. You've got audio and video on your jackets, on your outfits. I'm like, I do not want to identify. And he is doing me wrong. It didn't matter. They did it anyway.
Well, and let's just pause right there for a second. So some may be saying right now, okay, all we can see on that screen is the name Patty. Patty is still terrified, and rightfully so. Patty doesn't want her information out to John Crook, who just pointed a firearm at her. Patty, unbeknownst to Patty, could be the victim of not only John Crook, but all these other insane people that are rallying around John Crook and Lynette. And so why would Patty want to put her name out there? She has every legal right to fear, and she has every normal right to fear having her name, and she did not have to give her information. And I have no idea why Levy County deputies act the way they do. By the way, I will say, while I've not experienced anything with Kinnick personally yet, that Trent has been one of the good ones. And so there are some bad ones and there are some good ones. You had every right to fear. He's done this that we know of in police record to an individual named Chad. He's done this to me. Levy County Sheriff did absolutely nothing. By the way, there are those that are saying that when the signs were put around town that there was no communication with the Levy County Sheriff as well, which is complete and total false. Actually, the pictures of the signs were sent to Deputy Weaver, and Deputy Weaver will be testifying to that. But the reality of the insanity, what goes on there.
Well, hold on a second. Let's back up a little bit, because the deputy that called the day that John did pull out his firearm multiple times, pulled it out of his pocket, Levy County Sheriff was prepared to charge him with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. It was then it got put in the court of the state's attorney's office, and they make the final call. It was them that said no, that did nothing.
So they've let him go with me. But keep going, Patty. You were afraid, and well, actually, let me fast forward, okay? Because I agree with you. The inappropriate behavior of Knick, but you don't go on record and you don't press charges. Then you later decide this was not okay. You're gonna press charges. Walk me through that experience working with the sheriff, with the state attorney's office, and ultimately what happened when you decided, you know what, I'm going public with this, even though my name's going to become public record.
So Wes had left and Florida, and I had more time, and I had my kids come down. And then as I was feeling like it was very important to do something, I had the kids fly back home a little bit early. And I was still really scared though. So I didn't want to go over there up to Levy County by myself after that had happened. And that's why that was when my bonus dad had flown down. So that there is where I first felt safe enough to even go before these people.
Wow.
This is probably around the this was like the 25th or so of July. So he flew down and went to the police station with me. And that's when I got the paperwork to actually do my report and file and press charges for myself against John Cook. And that has been shown on a couple of other, I sent that to a couple of people just to show, yes, I did press charges. I did file the papers. I don't even know that they ever did what they were supposed to, but I filed them. And then I came back home. Officer Trent, like as you said, he has actually been probably the one that has been the kindest to me in trying to help me understand there in that part of the process before it went to the state's attorney. That all got taken care of. And he even said, your statement sounds like what we have from Wes. So, I mean, it stands true that, you guys are telling the truth here. It's pretty much the same because it's true. And I don't hear anything. And I wait and I wait and I wait and I still don't hear anything. So come like the middle of August, I'm really starting to get really, my anxiety level is through the roof.
Oh, sure.
I never heard from a victim's advocate. I didn't even know her name or anything at that point. Never heard from a soul until I called in the middle of August. And the assistant that I talked to first said she'd get a message to Miss Screws, which was Ariel Screws was the original person, assistant ADA, that was supposed to be taking care of the case. I never heard from her. So the next day I call again and I say, I need Miss Screws. And the lady says to hold on. And when the next person picks up the phone, it's not a female. it's Mr. Owens. And I don't remember the whole conversation with him, but the number one thing that I do remember is that he was the first person to really make me feel like this was more social media focus than the fact that this man just did this aggravated assault.
So key in on that. What was coming out of his mouth?
The one thing that he said that was the hardest hit was that he started talking about it like I just automatically knew about what the Hales and the Lynette and John battle. And I stopped him and I said, whoa, wait a minute. You need to talk to me like I am a person that has never heard of Tubetown, never heard of what the Hales, never heard of Lynette or John or any of these people. Because as of the days before July 3rd, I didn't know these people existed. So you need to talk to me like I am a person that has no idea about any of these YouTubers, because I really didn't. I mean, I know a little more now, but I knew nothing. And that's when he kind of changed his tune. But then he wanted to make sure to tell me, well, before you make a decision, you should probably go watch some of this and see about this back and forth dispute. I don't know why that was supposed to change my mind.
Interesting. That's Dan Owens, state attorney, Levy County, the man who put in writing to the Levy County Sheriff, which you can even see that on our channel, recorded, where they are discussing the email. If you hear George saying the email, or we're all talking about this email that Dan Owens put out to the Levy County Sheriff saying, do not enforce the Ohio Civil Protection Orders. Again, breaking state law, breaking federal law. The exact same Dan Owens that obviously is watching everything. And when it comes right down to it, we bought property in Otter Creek. Then we were stalked to Otter Creek. Then we were begged for money for promotion, and they did not receive it. And then they made life living hell for everybody in Otter Creek, and have done everything from pulling out firearms. So, Patty, they forced you. You went back home, and they forced you to come back to Levy County, right?
So yes, so I talked to him that night, and the next day, he told me that I needed to watch some What the Hells and some of, the stuff with Lynette and them before I made my decision. Like,
what does that have to do with a man pulling out a firearm when you guys did nothing but drive by?
Exactly. What does that have to do with a crime was committed and there was a guilty person and a victim? Hey, go watch some What the Hells. Yeah. That has nothing to do with What the Hells. So here, I got to say this, Patty. I have to say this, okay? YouTube is the largest social media platform, but news platform or any type of platform right now with billions using it. And just because something happened and it was placed on YouTube doesn't make it not illegal. Michelle Hopper, thank you for the super chat. And what I mean by that is if John Crook pulls out a firearm on somebody and illegally brandishes it, if it's on YouTube, that doesn't make it not illegal.
Well,
so if it's not on YouTube, according to Dan Owens, if it's not on YouTube, it's a crime. If it is on YouTube, it's not a crime. Now, hold a second. If my cameras catch what Crook did, it's not a crime. But his cameras caught what he did. So it is a crime. The insanity of this individual and how this individual could even be working within the state attorney's office boggles my mind. I still remember being at Randy Shockett's office with Mark Feather, and Mark just got off the phone with Dan Owens, and the information he just gave me was they absolutely would not enforce the civil protection orders. And I literally I literally was sick to my stomach. I walked out of the room with such a heavy burden, and I'm a big man, but I don't mind shedding tears. And I had to sit there and go, God, I got to take on Otter Creek and Levy County and the state of Florida. I'm like, I don't want this. I don't want this. And I'm sure you didn't want any of this either, Patty. So,
do you think that if Dan Owens happened to be driving by just to check out Tubetown and this turtle rescue, since they have this big obnoxious sign, and John did the same thing to him and pulled out a fire, you think Dan would be like, oh, I'm not a victim because it has something to do with YouTube? Do you think his mentality, his state of mind would be in that direction? Or would he 100% file charges and then pursue it?
I would think he would 100% pursue it. I did not understand that. That's why it's the more that I have fought for the truth and fought for what's right, and why I'm even standing up as I am now and speaking out is, yes, am I terrified that, because there's a lot of bad people in the world, but there's also a lot of good ones, and a lot of them have been so supportive that this was wrong. This was
wrong.
so wrong. And so
he's gotten away with it 3 times so far that we know of.
And that's awful. So the next day, what hit me really hard is I have a friend that is an officer here in my own county. And I asked him hypothetically, and I didn't say what had happened or anything. I was just like, hypothetically, if you are minding your own business and you go by a person and they pull out a gun and point it at you, and you're really afraid, would you go and do, would you file charges? Would you do anything? And without hesitation, he said, absolutely, I would, because if I didn't, and the next person that man did that to may
die.
not be able to say this happened to me. So I call back that next day and I finally, the first time now, get to speak with Ariel Screws. And Ariel Screws tells me that I can't do anything via Zoom. I can't talk to her and tell my story to her by her seeing me over Zoom. She had told the same thing to Wes. And, excuse me. And I, at first I'm like, I don't understand why not. So she explained, well, there are documents and there are pictures and there are things that we need to sit down and we need to go through and we need to discuss. So I need you on your own time to come back to Florida if you want me to consider pursuing these charges.
So in other words, you can commit a crime to somebody who isn't a resident of Florida in Levy County, and you can get off scot-free because Levy County state attorney is going to make them fly back on their own dime, which they just spent all their dimes to go on vacation to Florida. The insanity of this place.
Yeah. So, at that time, Wes and I were still communicating and discussing it. And I know that I don't know if you even wanted to talk about this or not, but obviously there were people in the world that wanted to help out, to help us to get justice. And
Well,
I was...
Yeah, go ahead. And let me summarize that for you, for everybody. So
go ahead, please.
When this story broke, Wes, there were some people rallied around Wes. They created a GoFundMe for Wes. Wes was to use that GoFundMe with Patty, Wes, and his daughter to come back to Florida. He did not. And he scammed everyone. And so there's nothing we can do about that. That doesn't change the fact that what happened to Wes happened to Patty. It did happen. Regardless if Wes is scum or not, it still happened. That doesn't negate what happened to you, Patty, right?
Exactly. And that's kind of where I went ahead, even though he ghosted me and I don't know what he did with those funds. I have no idea. And I'm sorry the world got hurt by him, but I did what I was supposed to. I did what was right. I got my card. I ordered my flight. I got my rental vehicle. I paid for it in my own pocket to get the justice that should be. And I flew back down to Florida on August the 25th. I went into that office in front of Ariel Screws on August the 26th. When I got there, there was another lady there as well. And that is the first time that I even heard that I actually had a victim's advocate, and that was her. And her name was Michelle Barr. Had never been contacted by a victim's advocate, never been told, we're sorry this happened to you. Nothing until that day on August 26th when I went into that room. I was in there for less than an hour. And what struck me more than anything, there's two things. Number one, as those ladies sat there and they asked me what happened, there is no way in any decent human would not see the fear that I had. I was physically trembling as I was explaining what happened. I was crying to where Michelle got up and was looking for tissue for me, that I was so physically shaken and crying and scared that had all happened, and I was already reliving it in that moment in front of those two ladies. Now, never once did I go through any photos. Not one time did they have me to look at any documents. None of the things that they told me was the reason I had to fly back down to Florida for, none of that happened. I literally could have just sat in front of a camera via Zoom or like we're doing now, and with what I did in there, instead of spending, hundreds of dollars to fly back down there.
Why do I feel like they lied to you in order for you to come down? They were dishonest with you.
Yep. I believe that they felt that, as I can see that they're excusing everything, that, hey, we tell them they got to come back down, and nobody's going to want to go back down from Illinois to come and do what we want them to do. And, if they don't come back down, we just drop the case. And that's exactly how I feel now that things have transpired since.
Well, I can assure you there's a ton of people in Levy County Jail who had done the exact same thing that Crook did to you, and they did not get let go. They did not say, oh, we're not going to press charges anymore. We see it literally daily in Levy County when you go through the police records. So if Dan Owens is making this all go away for John Crook, whether it be a favor for Russ the Sus or just because he hates YouTube, a crime was committed whether he said it happened or not, and dismissed charges. And I tremble and horrifically fear who he's going to end up shooting.
Well, that the YouTube part of it was the second part of like I said, the two things. That second part was she seemed so focused on that. And the first thing she said about YouTube was, do I watch What the Hales? Have I seen the back and forth between Jeremy Hale and Lynette Preston? And I told her, just as I've told everybody here before that day, didn't know any of your names, didn't know you had channels, didn't know anybody existed. I told her since that day, I've looked a little just to kind of wrap my head around what's going on. I still don't know the bulk of what's been happening for years and years. And then she asks me, do I have a YouTube channel? Like that means anything. But I said no, because I don't. And that's why I've been so private. I don't. So she asks me, does my family? And of course I did. That's why, I mean, people hear the Bub's Tackle Box because I'm private and he lets me, kind of speak my voice from there to protect me. And she literally, the one thing she wrote down through the entire conversation was Bub's Tackle Box YouTube. And I said, in that moment, I said, you can write that down and you can watch that YouTube, but I can promise you, you're not going to hear anything about what happened. You're not going to hear anything about the Hales or Tubetown or what you do in Willis or anything, because this was never about social media. I never had, I didn't know or do anything with that. So that's all I saw from her was they saw how scared I was. They didn't seem to really write or care about that. And then they wanted to know how much about the social media, and then wanted to know all the information of Dad's social media channel. That was what I got out of it.
As if it being on social media doesn't mean as if it being on social media means it didn't happen in real life. So if Channel 20 came out there because Lynette begged them to come over and literally had Landon and the fools fill up the blessing box that was empty and before for Channel 20, and then they try and offer it to Channel 20, and she's like, no, because no normal human being would take anything out of there.
Mm-mm.
So if it's on Channel 20, do you think Dan Owens would have pressed charges because that's a camera for the news station and it's okay? But if it's a camera, which we all have them now, and it's a camera and it's on YouTube, then it doesn't happen. I'm curious what he would have done. I mean, for those who don't know yet, we've kind of alluded it, but Dan Owens, state attorney, threw all of Crook's charges out, making Patty, number one, fearful, but number two, forcing Patty to fly on her own dime, her own money, back to Florida. They made her do all of this and then did nothing.
When everything could have been done on Zoom. They tricked her into coming down when everything could have been coordinated on Zoom, just to end up dropping it and abandoning it and not taking it serious. But then didn't they send you a letter, Patty, that says, we are sorry that you were a victim of a crime? Did we lose you, Patty?
We might have lost Patty. Or she might have, no, she didn't mute. She didn't mute.
Can you hear me?
There you are, Patty.
Okay. I wish you were able to pull it up because I can't pull it up. But the letter that I wrote to all of those people in that state's attorney's office, the very next day, like the 27th of August, I wrote in because they said if I had any questions to please feel free to reach out. And so I didn't have any questions, but I thought a lot about it, and I was so hurt by the way they treated me and that they were doing all the social media hype of it. So I wrote in that letter that I felt like they cared so much about the social media and the YouTube and social media hype that I not only was a victim to that man that aggressively, assaulted innocent humans, but I felt victimized by the state's attorney's office for the way they treated me and treated the case.
Yeah, it's wrong on every single level, Patty.
It's so disgusting and so sickening. And it makes you wonder, like, should this state's attorney truly be in that position? If he can't seem to make himself seem not biased and impartial, I don't get it. I don't understand it.
I almost feel like, at this point with them. Yes, I did get a letter. I got a letter a couple days ago saying that there were 2 reasons why they were not going to pursue charges against John Crook. And the number 1 reason was that they did not feel that they had a cooperating witness that would be there and give his, and it said his, testimony.
Well, you
And in that
were a
moment,
cooperating witness.
exactly, in that moment, as a woman, I guess I have to say it that way for no other way to say it. I felt that as the woman in that situation, that I was defeated, I didn't feel validated in my concern, in my worry, anything, because they did have a cooperating witness. They had me that flew back down there on my own money, financially, emotionally, showed them that I was terrified and that I wanted justice. But they didn't have him as a cooperating witness, and I wasn't good enough.
The insanity of Levy County and Otter Creek. While we wrap up here and we soon are to transition into our whatnot auction, Patty, I just want to say thank you for coming on and sharing with us. It's a pleasure to meet your voice, and maybe someday we'll meet in person.
That sounds good.
Thank you for your time, Patty. Have a good evening.
You guys too. Thank you so much. And I want to thank the world too, because I have seen a lot of messages from other people, like when Tug and Megan did some of the story, people are really showing me that being brave and coming forward and speaking the truth, that they have my back, and they are very supportive of me, and I'm really grateful for that. So
We do
thank
have
you
an
all.
awesome community. We really
Yes.
do.
All right. Thank you all. And you guys have a great night.
You too, Patty. Just a reminder, George, we got a huge auction, right?
We do. We do. If for those of you who don't plan on meeting us at Whatnot for our live auction,
I'm putting the link in right now.
I do want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank all of our moderators. I want to thank everyone that sent a super chat, everyone that sent a super sticker. I want to thank everyone that, all of our members, our channel members. We appreciate the love and the support. I appreciate anyone that gifted a membership this evening, anyone that upgraded their membership. We truly appreciate the support. And then also, thank you to everyone that sent fan mail to us. We love opening up your gifts and reading your special notes. Are we doing an ending, or are we just hopping on Whatnot?
'Cause we moved into a town with no one around, all to get away from the snow. We put in a 2-inch line, everything was fine, till they tried to steal all our dough.
All right, we'll see you guys at Whatnot, on Whatnot.
Gonna be here.